Hello, and thank you for choosing RentSpree. Today we're going to go over everything the applicant will see, from receiving an email request to apply, to verifying their identity and submitting payment to authorize you to view their reports. The first thing applicants will see if they are sent an email request to apply is this email from RentSpree to apply for the property address that you have added to your dashboard. They will also see your name, and it'll let them know some important details about RentSpree, such as the fact that all applicants must apply with separate email accounts, and that we provide a soft inquiry that will not damage their credit score. In order to apply, the applicant will just need to either click here to begin, or click on the Apply Now button. Once they click on either of those buttons, they will be taken to the Apply page, where they will once again be able to see the property address and the name of the agent or owner that is requesting the reports. They will then see which reports have been requested, and once again a few pieces of important information about RentSpree. They can then click on Sign Up and Apply to create their RentSpree account and begin applying. Once they have entered their desired email address and password and agreed to the RentSpree user agreement and privacy policy, they can click on Sign Up with Email to begin applying. Once they sign up, they will be able to see the property address and the agent or owner's name one more time, along with which reports are requested. And if there is a screening fee, they will be able to see that as well. They will then be able to click on Apply Now to begin. For the purpose of this video, I have switched to an account that has already completed the rental application process. As you can see here, the applicant is taken to the guide page where they can see the rental property, the agent or owner's name, and if applicable, a screening fee. They will then see the 3 different steps, beginning with Applicant Information. This is where applicants will be asked to enter a move-in date, whether or not they're applying as a tenant or co-signer, guarantor, a little bit of information about themselves, and then any other tenant's information, along with any other co-signer or guarantor information. As you can see, if I click on Yes, I will be able to enter the information for any of my guarantors, and I will also be able to check off a box similar to the other occupant section that will automatically send a lease link to apply to the other occupants or the co-signers for this property. Once this information has been entered, the applicant will then be able to start step 2, the rental application. This is going to include their personal information, such as name, date of birth, and phone number, their government-issued ID, which can be a driver's license or passport, their emergency contact information, and they can also add additional emergency contacts, and then their residences, whether or not they own or rent a property. If they rent a property, they will be asked for the address, the duration of stay, the rental information including landlord name, monthly rent, email, phone number of the landlord, and then also the reason for leaving. And they will then be asked about their previous residence. Once they enter the information for their previous residence, if applicable, they will then be able to start entering information for their current occupation. They can select whether or not they are retired, unemployed, or employed. And if they do select employed, they will be asked for the employment information such as employer, job title, monthly salary, duration of work, supervisor or HR details, including first and last name, email, and phone number, and the work address. They will also be able to supply any additional income they may have for their current occupation. They will then be able to select for their previous occupation whether or not they were employed or not. If they were employed, they will be asked for the same information that was in their current employment section. They will then be asked for any references, such as the nearest relative, and any personal references that they would like to include. They can then click on Save and Next to enter whether or not they have any pets, any vehicles, and a few yes or no questions, such as whether or not they plan to use any liquid-filled furniture, whether or not they've been party to an unlawful detainer or filed bankruptcy within the last 7 years, whether they've been asked to move out of a residence, and whether they've been convicted of or pleaded no contest to a felony. Once they are done, they can click on Save and Finish to return to the guide and start the TransUnion screening section. Once they have returned to the guide, they can click on Start for Step 3, the TransUnion screening section. When they click on Start, the first thing they'll see is the TransUnion Service Agreement. They must agree to these terms and conditions, and then they can also request a copy of the reports. This is optional. They will then be asked to enter some personal information, such as their first, middle, and last name, date of birth, home phone number, social security number or ITIN, and most recent address where they have lived at for 2 or more years. Once they've entered this information, they can click on Continue to answer their identity verification questions. The identity verification questions are questions that come directly from TransUnion that are related to the information the applicant provided on the previous page. These questions must be answered correctly before an applicant will be able to submit payment if requested and authorize reports for you to view. Once they have answered the questions, they can click on Continue, and they will then be brought back to the guide where they will be able to submit payment or simply submit their information for you to view. When the applicant does return to the guide, they can click on Pay and Submit or Submit, and by doing so, they understand that this is an application to rent and does not guarantee that they will be offered the premises, that the above information that they have provided is true and complete, and that they authorize you to verify the information provided and obtain the information that they have authorized you to obtain. They can then click on Pay and Submit to enter payment information and submit their information to you. Once the applicant has submitted their payment, they will see a success page that lets them know that they have completed their submission to you. It'll then let them know that they will receive their own copy of the reports after you have viewed them. They can then go to their dashboard. That is it. Once you have viewed the reports, we will notify the applicant that a copy of their reports is available, and you will then be able to move forward with any decision you would like to make with the applicant. If you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach us via email at support@rentspree.com or by phone at 323-515-7757. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.